Let's jump right into this explainer because we really need to shatter a massive illusion today. Just because artificial intelligence can spit out an essay or write code that looks exactly like something a human would do, we kind of just assume it thinks like us. Well, it doesn't. Today, we're going to completely separate merely looking smart from actually being smart. Picture this. You're standing in the middle of a super busy food market, and you're watching two vendors serving up equally delicious food. Now, from the outside, they both look entirely capable, right? But here's the catch. Vendor 1 is human. They know the recipe by heart, they can tweak things on the fly if a customer's taste changes, and they just intuitively know when a missing ingredient makes a dish feel a little off. Vendor 2 is an AI. It's prepping something totally impressive, but it's doing it from a fixed, highly statistical process. Looking capable from the outside absolutely does not mean you're running the same machinery on the inside. And that difference underneath, that's exactly what we're unpacking today. So, to really get this, we have to redefine the word itself. Intelligence is, at its core, a system for handling uncertainty. Because let's face it, in the real world, you almost never have complete information. Intelligence is not about being a perfect, flawless calculator. It's about making really good guesses when you are completely in the dark and staying useful despite that lack of perfect knowledge. Both AI and humans actually do this, but man, they do it in vastly different ways. To understand how differently they handle that uncertainty, we gotta look at what they actually pay attention to. Human intelligence relies on a very specific, lived-in lens. Think about it. When we walk into a room, we instantly, almost unconsciously, pick up on these deeply social, grounded cues. We notice a subtle shift in someone's tone of voice or a sudden tension in their posture. We can instantly feel if the room is just awkward or if a reply to a question was technically polite but emotionally freezing cold. Now flip that around. AI acts through a completely different filter. It observes the world purely through patterns and statistics. It's noticing word frequencies, statistical relationships between pixels on a screen, and repeated structures buried in its massive training data. It's like both systems are wearing completely different glasses that determine what comes into focus. AI is unbelievably powerful at noticing patterns in data, but humans? We are uniquely powerful at noticing meaning and context. And that brings us to a massive concept, relevance. Prediction is incredibly useful, sure, but it just isn't enough on its own. Imagine a student who memorizes literally every single detail of a massive textbook, but has absolutely no idea which facts actually matter for the exam. Think of intelligence like a spotlight in a pitch-black room. Predicting everything in that room doesn't matter one bit if you can't point the light at what actually requires your attention right now. We humans are constantly filtering reality through relevance. We're always silently asking, is this safe? Is this important? Is this appropriate?
You also can't have true intelligence without goals. I mean, a map is only useful if you actually know where you want to go. Human goals are incredibly flexible and deeply emotional. We care about survival, truth, kindness, and belonging. AI's goals, on the other hand, are incredibly narrow, and they are defined entirely by us. It can optimize a target flawlessly, but it doesn't experience that target as a lived concern. It's kind of like AI is this flawless compass, giving direction, while the human is the actual traveler who experiences the heat, the cold, and the journey itself.
When you map all this out, a really clear mental model starts to emerge. Human intelligence handles life, context, and meaning, and it is entirely grounded in a physical body and real relationships. Our superpower is judgment. AI, meanwhile, handles patterns and optimization. It's grounded in data and mathematical training functions. Its superpower is speed, scale, and consistency. You see, neither is strictly better in every scenario. They're just built for entirely different realities.
So let's look at how these systems actually learned, moving from patterns to lived meaning.
The whole divide really starts right here with how we learn. Human learning is incredibly compressed. A toddler sees a dog exactly once, hears the word dog, and boom, they've immediately built a usable, flexible concept for what a dog is. We learn from very few examples because we mix direct experience with emotion and social correction. AI, however, gets its power entirely from massive volume. It learns by churning through literally millions of examples to form a statistical structure. To put it simply, humans have compressed understanding, AI has power from sheer volume.
But here's the thing. Humans don't just file away these patterns in a cabinet. We attach meaning to them. A word is never just a word to us. If a coworker says, well, that meeting went great, an AI processes the text as a positive sentiment. But a human, we process the awkward pauses, the intensely sarcastic tone, and the hidden office politics behind it. We connect patterns to a complex web of lived associations and safety.
AI is an impossibly powerful pattern extractor, but humans are pattern extractors plus meaning makers, and that plus is a real game changer.
Next up, let's explore fluency without grounding, or what we call the map versus the traveler.
AI can generate language that sounds so beautifully human it gives you chills. But fluency is not the same thing as being grounded in reality. AI is like a highly detailed map. It perfectly shows all the roads, the distances, the terrain. But a map doesn't get thirsty. It doesn't feel fatigue or danger or panic. A human is the traveler who must actually move through that territory, dealing with sudden changes, emotional pressure, and heavy moral trade-offs. The map gives you fantastic options for sure, but you absolutely need the traveler for the actual judgment of the journey. You know, a uniquely brilliant way to understand any system is just to watch how it breaks. When AI fails, its mistakes totally exposes its rigid reliance on past structures. It might spit out an answer that sounds overwhelmingly confident and perfectly structured, but is factually completely entirely wrong. It struggles heavily with weird, unusual edge cases. It completely misses hidden social subtext, and it tends to overfit its responses, basically getting too attached to what it has seen before in its training data.
Conversely, our limitations as humans stem straight from our grounded, biological nature. We get physically tired, which totally clouds our thinking. We assume things way too fast based on our own biases. We constantly let temporary emotions heavily distort our logical judgment, and we routinely misread other people's intentions. Both systems have limits. They really do, but their limits are entirely different, which proves that neither system is perfect, they just fail in ways that perfectly reflect their fundamental architecture.
Because we live in these messy biological and social realities, we exist in deeply layered contexts. AI can model that context to a certain degree, but it doesn't live inside it. Think about it. If a regular customer at a shop says, "No, it's fine, next time," a human uses a shared history and the exact pitch of their voice to instantly know if that's just a polite refusal, a sign of mild disappointment, or a complete fracture in trust. We humans fill in massive gaps in information using our lived common sense. To boil the actual mechanics of this down to one sentence, humans compress, AI extrapolates. We compress our incredibly complex life experiences into rapid mental models and shortcuts, like knowing instantly that a specific sigh means someone is frustrated. We don't mathematically calculate that from scratch every time. AI, on the other hand, extends a pattern. You give it a prompt and it extrapolates from its structural data to predict what plausibly, statistically should come next, meaning to judgment versus pattern into prediction.
So, what does this actually change for us? How do we evaluate the system itself and not just the output?
Once you cross this threshold of understanding, a really massive shift happens in how you see the world. You stop comparing AI and humans as two versions of the exact same thing. Actually, if you take away just one single thought from our explainer today, let it be this. AI predicts well inside patterns, humans judge well inside life. This is exactly why AI can be unbelievably fast, fluent, and scalable, and why humans remain deeply flexible, contextual, and aware. Neither should ever be mistaken for the other.
Armed with this mental model, you now have a real, practical framework to evaluate any AI tool you use in your daily life. Instead of just blindly asking if an AI is smart, ask yourself, is the task I'm doing right now about finding a pattern, or does it require contextual judgment? Is the situation stable and heavy on data, or is it unpredictable and full of messy human context? Do I just need something to sound fluent, or do I actually need real, lived understanding?
You really don't need to treat AI like magic anymore. You can see both systems clearly now. The next time you see a machine do something brilliant, pause for a second and ask yourself, is it truly understanding the world, or is it just perfectly playing its part in a statistical pattern? But here is the deeper question I want to leave you with today. As AI gets better and better at perfectly mimicking our human patterns, how long will it be until we can no longer tell the difference between its predictions and our meaning?